I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
This week we are talking Little Voice, which will be our first dive into the Miramax library. And this has been behind the scenes, a bit of a contention for us because there's a lot of movies in the Miramax library that we want to talk about, but Disney currently does not own Miramax. They bought Miramax in 1993, and they sold it in 2010. So if we're going to do a Miramax movie, let's do it within that time frame. At least Disney had some involvement in those films. Of course, Miramax started out twofold. One was to give independent filmmakers a bigger stage by having their movies in a wide release. One of them you may have heard of, a guy named Kevin Smith.
We might get to him.
We might get to him at some point. Some of those fall into the categories here. But in this case, in Little Voice's case, it was a situation of taking a movie not made in the United States and giving it a U.S. release. This movie is a full-on English, British, UK cast. UK director, UK writer, based off a English stage play. So this was them trying to give this movie an international release through Miramax.
Interestingly, the stage play was directed by a guy who would go on to very quickly make his film directing debut with American Beauty. Yeah, the stage play was directed by Sam Mendes, and he didn't direct the film version because he had never directed a film. And so they gave the film version to somebody else. And then Sam Mendes got his film directing debut about a year later. And that went very well for him. Let's just say. But I'm not going to talk down about the talent of the director who directed the film version of Little Voice, because he did an excellent job, and not only did he do this film, but he did another independent British film that I absolutely love and suggest everyone go watch, which is called Brassed Off. Also starring Ewan McGregor, but this was like before Ewan McGregor was like a big star. All of these movies. And that one was also produced by Miramax Films. So we might get around to that because that does fall in our thing. But yeah, Mark Herman directed this one for the film and did an absolutely wonderful job. This is an excellently directed film, especially since it's kind of a strange play to adapt for film.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't exactly call this a musical, but it does have music in it. It's a lot of old songs, and they're sung in the movie, but unlike a traditional musical, the songs aren't pushing the story forward. It's literally someone is performing these songs.
Yeah, and a lot of people will not have seen this film. This was a first watch for you. You had never heard of it when I told you that I wanted to do this. Um, this was a favorite of mine from when I was a teenager, and it was one of those that I just kind of found when I was going through Ewan McGregor's entire filmography at the time, right about when he hit it big with, Star Wars and everything. Before we go any further, this film is R-rated, but it's not like our typical R-rated films. There is some brief nudity in the film. There is a lot of sexual innuendo in the film because of one of the characters. And there is some language.
To be fair, it's British swearing, so that's just how they talk.
That being said, though, I'm not really sure that this is one of those where we'll have to tell you to send the kids out of the room. Because while the film is R-rated, nothing in the plot is really kind of past our PG-13 stuff. Just maybe if you watch the movie, don't watch the movie with the kids in the room. But I really can't imagine us really going past our normal PG-13 on this here. But if that worries you, that we might maybe skip this one with the kids. The elevator pitch for this movie, if you've never heard of it, is that there is a very shy young woman, probably in her early 20s from what we get in the film. Her father has died and she lives with her kind of emotionally abusive mother. And she's a shut-in and a recluse, and she doesn't really talk much.
She has this very soft, mousy voice, which is why they call her Little Voice.
Well, yeah, her mother calls her Little Voice because she's so soft-spoken. But you discover very quickly that she can mimic other voices, and she can sing and stuff, because all she does is she sits in her room and listens to her father's old record collection. Because her father ran a music store, a record store. And that's how she remembers her father. She sits and she listens to his old records. And so she can mimic the voice of Judy Garland or Marilyn Monroe or Gracie Fields or, all these famous voices. The thing about it is, when I first watched this movie, because this movie came out in 98, and, the internet was still kind of early, and, you couldn't just Wikipedia everything, and, And so for a long time, I thought that they just kind of dubbed over things or got a bunch of voice actors or something.
Wouldn't that be the first musical to do that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've talked about Marnie Nixon before on this podcast.
Yeah. So a couple of years after this movie, Robert Downey Jr. would be in a movie called The Singing Detective. And he didn't really sing in that movie. They just played over the original recordings of the songs and he lip-synced to them. So I can see where you're coming from, that her impressions of these singers is so good that you are thinking that they are just using the original recordings of the song for the movie.
Yeah, and then I found out kind of some years later that no, that is all Jane Horrocks, who is the star of this film. And Jane Horrocks is an amazing actress. She originated the role on stage. She did all her own singing on stage and everything. You can look her up on YouTube. She did Cabaret on the West End, and she does one of the best versions of the title song to Cabaret I have ever seen. Oh my goodness, to have seen this woman play Sally Bowles on stage. Please get me a TARDIS and let me go do that. But you can look up YouTube footage at least, and it will make your skin tingle. But She is absolutely incredible, and I suggest you look up everything she's ever done. This was the movie that introduced me to her, and I became obsessed. To discover that she did all her own singing, all these impressions. I mean, she is such a talented woman.
Because there's that part in the movie where she is quoting Wizard of Oz word for word, and her Judy Garland is flawless.
She not only does like younger Judy Garland, but she does like Judy Garland at Carnegie Hall, because that was one of her dad's favorite albums. And she does it perfectly, you know? The thing is that the original play was specifically written for Jane Horrocks to make use of her talents, because the writer knew that she had this ability. The interesting thing is you know how I said that the director of the film had worked with Ewan McGregor on another film I liked. Mm-hmm. That character's not in the original play.
That would explain one of my issues with the movie. I don't know if I want to talk about it now, but there is an issue I have with the movie, and the fact that you said that his character was not in the original play answers my question.
Yeah, we'll get to it in a bit, but they just kind of added him in because I think they thought it needed like a love interest or whatever, which the original play doesn't really have. And also the director wanted to work with Ewan McGregor again because he liked working with him before.
If it works, it works.
No, I mean, Ewan McGregor is great in this, but I think I might agree with you when we get around to that. So let's go back. First of all, I recommend, if you haven't seen this movie, and that's probably most of you, just pause this right now. Go find the movie. You can find it for free in a couple of places, and you can find it for very cheap to rent or buy on like Amazon Prime and YouTube and whatever. You can just rent it for a day or two, or buy it for very, very cheap. I recommend finding it and watching it. You will not be disappointed, I don't think. So, having said that, have you watched it and come back? If not, we're about to spoil the entire thing. Because having given the elevator pitch, let's get into more of the details.
All right, so we have LV, Little Voice, as she's called throughout most of the movie, and her very verbally abusive mother, Mari, played by Brenda Blethyn. Oh, she is such a good actress in this movie. She made me hate her so much.
I mean, she's a good actress in anything. She is absolute legend. Everybody in this film is a legend.
It does also go into the meme of England only has 5 actors.
Yeah, there's like 5 actors in this movie, and they are Jane Horrocks, Michael Caine, Brenda Blethyn, Jim Broadbent, and Ewan McGregor. I mean, those are the 5 actors in this movie, and they are all legends.
Yes.
So, yeah. Interestingly, you know who played the Michael Caine role in the original play?
Who?
Pete Postlethwaite. Yeah. Again, legend.
So we have Little Voice, LV, and her mom, Mari. Mari goes out pretty much every night to clubs and hooks up with various men, and then flaunts her stories of her exploits with men. One of these exploits includes a wannabe talent scout named Ray, which is played by Michael Caine.
Ray Say.
Uh, and they come home to do what couples do. But LV likes to listen to her records very loud. Again, she likes that.
Well, let me just correct you a little bit there. She doesn't want to hear her mother doing what couples do with a random man.
Fair enough.
And it sets her off because she considers it, disrespectful to the memory of her father. And she goes upstairs and tries to turn the record up very, very loud so that she doesn't have to hear her mother and another man. Which, fair.
Meanwhile, Mari hates these records. Viscerally hates these records. She hates these songs. Why? Because they remind her of her husband.
Who apparently she really, really hated. We find out at the end of the movie, there has to be the confrontation and the catharsis. But we find out at the end of the movie that apparently Mari is the one who drove LV's father to an early grave. That Mari was just such a abusive woman that whatever she did was the thing that kind of drove the father to an early grave.
So to drown out LV's music, which she's using to drown out her canoodling, Mari pulls up her music, and they're each turning up their music louder and louder and louder, as loud as it can go, to drown each other's out, which causes a short and a blackout in the entire building.
Yeah, it is important to note that the house they live in, Mari has not taken care of it, so everything in it is falling apart, most especially the electrical circuitry. So, yeah, faulty wiring everywhere in this house. It is a running plot line.
There's a blackout in the entire house, and LV starts singing because that's all she has. And Ray starts hearing LV's very beautiful, very powerful for such a small woman, this powerful voice that, no, that can't be her. That little girl I just saw? No. That has to be a record, but the power's out. There's nothing to power the record. So it has to be her. And like I said, Ray's a talent agent. He just found his new meal ticket in LV. And that is the plot of the movie, is Ray trying to get LV to perform. He wants to make LV a star. Like, he sets up a gig for her at the club that Mari and Ray frequent, which is owned by a Mr. Boo, played by Jim Broadbent. He is like the world's worst comedian.
Yeah, and, good for Jim Broadbent, because he pulls that off. Great actor, but in this, you're just like, oh, get off the stage.
It takes talent to be bad in acting.
Yeah.
So that is the setup. Ray has set up a gig at Mr. Boo's club for LV to perform, and he wants to make LV a star. This is kind of very similar to A Star is Born, and I'm going to come back to this later.
Speaking of Judy Garland,
LV herself kind of doesn't want to do it. Like, she doesn't want to sing for people. The only person she wants to sing to is her father. And I want to make the note here. The only picture of her father that LV has left is a black and white photo of the man. So when she gets into her imagination, when she imagines her father with her, he is a black and white image, which is both interesting in a filmmaking sense, but sad in a character sense that it has likely been so long since her father died. That's the only image she has of her father. Like, there are no other pictures of the man in the house except for that one black and white photo. We don't know how long he's been dead, but it's to a point where Elvie cannot imagine her father other than being a black and white image.
Yeah.
So, like, she doesn't want to do it. Eventually, they get her to do it the first time. And goes about as well as you expect. And, you know, it makes sense the way they pulled it off because, you know, again, she is not used to performing in public. She has never performed in public before. Number one, so she would have stage fright. Oh, look at all of these people. I don't know what I'm doing here. Two, she mostly sings at night in the dark. So they turn off all of the lights in the club to kind of simulate her room at night. And the first performance goes pretty well. There's just that the clientele of the club are just not getting into it. And the mother, Mari, is kind of shitting on it. Sorry, but I have to get that one on because that is what she is doing.
Yeah.
Because she is not singing anything contemporary. She's singing these old standards. But Ray figures it out, why the people aren't getting into it. She's just standing there singing by herself.
A cappella, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want to get the crowd into it, they need a beat. LV needs musical accompaniment. Singing a cappella can be fine, but when you're trying to impress people and get people to kind of get into the act, you kind of do need that musical accompaniment. Like, Elvie is trying in that first performance scene. Like, she's trying to sing her heart out, and it sounds good. But it's also because it's in the dark, the clientele will likely second guess, is this young woman actually singing, or are they just playing a recording over this girl as we're, you know, we can't see her face, we can't see her mouth or anything. So it just goes completely wrong. That first performance is a complete disaster. So Ray decides, okay, this is what we're going to do. We need a band. Two, we need to get Elvie's confidence up. Because if she doesn't have confidence, it's not going to be a good performance. He doesn't give a damn about Elvie. Hey, this girl can sing. She is my meal ticket. I need to get her to perform. But he does have a way of, I don't want to say manipulate.
I definitely want to say manipulate.
Because he's trying to go into, you know, hey, you sing to your dad. Well, we can produce this show as a tribute to your father. You only have to do it once. Your father's favorite songs performed by his daughter on stage. You know, we'll have the band, we'll have all of this stuff, just, you know, make it all professional-like, and then, you know, you can pay tribute to your father through the music that he loves. And LV goes with it. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to pay tribute to my father through the songs that he loved, through the artists that he loved.
Yeah, but the thing is that she made it very clear, I will do this one time. One night only.
And as this all is going on, here comes Ewan McGregor's character, Billy.
Yeah, let's get into the, like, weird B-plot with Billy installing the telephone.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor's character, Billy, he's a telephone engineer, I guess. Not even a full telephone engineer. He's an assistant telephone engineer. And he works with his boss, George Philip Jackson, and they install telephones all over town. That's how the movie starts, is they're installing a telephone into LV and Mari's house. Billy gets a look at LV, and he's kind of smitten with her. For half a second, he's able to hear her sing. And again, even more smitten with her. a little too smitten, as he's kind of, for lack of a better term, not quite stalking, but he kind of comes around the house a couple more times. Oh, I forgot to give you this paperwork for your new phone. I forgot to do this. I want to check if your line is still working.
Well, the interesting thing is that he gets all this from his boss. Like, that's his boss's playbook. Because his boss says at the beginning of the movie, like, oh, I kind of fancy that mom. Like, she seems like she's a goer, you know? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean? And he tells Ewan McGregor, like, I always come back later and go, when the woman of the house is kind of hot, and say, like, oh, I forgot to leave this reading material that tells you about all our extra services. There's not a man of the house at home, is there? Want to go out for a drink, you know? And Ewan McGregor beats him to it and comes by and does that for LV instead. And his boss gets mad at him, like, you're stealing my game, man. I mean, yeah, he does kind of, like, border on the stalker a little bit, but he's stealing his boss's playbook.
Like, he even starts climbing the telephone pole outside of her house and using, the engineer phone to call her and talk to her. Billy, like LV, Billy is a little shy in his own right.
He's very into pigeons.
Yeah, he raises homing pigeons, lets him out, and then lets him out at the beginning of the day, and they all come home at the end of the day, except for one. And he kind of gets worried about this one pigeon that hasn't come home yet.
Yeah, that becomes like a D storyline or something.
Yeah.
Not really important, but it's kind of thematic.
He's very smitten with LV. He wants to talk to her. He wants to get to know her. LV's mother is very intimidating. She is kind of not really wanting to stand up to her mother, and Billy himself is a bit shy, a bit awkward, and has a tendency to say the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Who hasn't been there, right?
Yeah. So, like, he very much likes her. He wants to know more about her. He even asks her to go out with him. And she's like, no. I don't go outside. It's not like a kind of a punishment. Oh, you have to stay here forever. That's her world. That bedroom, those records, and that picture of her father is her entire world, and she doesn't really go away from that.
Yeah, she's probably got some agoraphobia or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious when you watch the movie that they're maybe suggesting that she's got, like, some PTSD from something, or, there's something going on that she's probably never been diagnosed with. So it's pretty fascinating.
So yeah, we get to the second performance, the performance proper. To pay for all of this, though, to pay for the band, to pay for the dress, to pay for the signage, because he gets new signage specifically saying "Little Voice here live." He kind of sells everything he owns. He starts taking out loans. He starts gambling, trying to get money just to pay for this one performance. And he hopes, like, okay, if this performance goes well, everything is going to come back. I'm going to make all the money, and we're all going to be rich. Well, I'm going to be rich. Let's be put. I'm not. We're going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. So they set up the second performance at Mr. Boo's club, and the second performance goes amazingly. Like, she is singing hit after hit after hit. Hey Big Spender and all that stuff. But the difference between the original performance and the second performance, like I said before, Race has manipulated LV into believing that this is a tribute show for her father. So she imagines her father in the crowd. And she is not necessarily singing to the audience. She is singing to her father. And that gives her the confidence to really belt it out. And that entire scene of LV belting out these classic songs, these old standards, is amazing. It is probably the best part of this whole movie. LV is not only vocally mimicking the singers, but mimicking their stage presence, like their movements. She just puts all of herself into it, and it's an amazing performance. Looking at the empty seat where she imagines her father is. I cannot describe it in words. It has to be seen. That's why we suggest that, you should at least watch this movie before you listen to this podcast.
The way that she portrays both LV kind of seeing her dad in the audience and going from being terrified to immediately switching on and going into big spender. And then at the end, she finishes the final song and she's taking her bow and she's smiling. And then the apparition of her dad fades away. And it's like lights on, lights off. Immediately she shuts down and she's just standing there blank. And it's such a heartbreaking moment. Because everyone in the audience is still standing up and applauding for her, and it's like she's completely dissociated at that moment. Like her dad isn't there anymore, and nothing matters.
Whatever light was inside of her is gone.
Yeah.
And as she's doing these performances, there's another talent scout at the club, and he's holding up a phone for his boss to hear LV sing, and it said, yeah, he's on his way here. He's going to be here tomorrow. If he hears LV sing, he's going to sign her. And it's like, now here comes the big money. Oh, this is a big shot, and they want LV to work for them. This is going to be good. We can get her to sing tomorrow. She'll be a star. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be out of this shithole. Sorry, but that's what he says.
Yeah.
Michael Caine calls the club a shithole because it is a shithole.
Yeah.
Okay, boo, you're nothing. You're a lowlife. You're the worst comedian that's ever. I got a star on my hands. We're going to go to the top, and we're never going to be in this crappy nightclub ever again. And, Boo looks at him and is like, you shouldn't say that because the people you step on going up are the same people you're going to see coming down. Well, we're never coming down. We're going to stay on top forever. Here's to the rise and rise of Little Voice.
Which I will point out that the original play is called The Rise and Fall of Little Voice. The thing is, though, is that as they're doing this, LV is over in the corner saying, I only said once. We said once.
That was the deal. I do this once, and I never do this again. Now you're saying I have to do this again? No. That's not what I signed for. And she just collapses because it's another person that has taken advantage of her. First it was her mother, now her mother's boyfriend.
Let's talk about the mother's motivation, because the mother, we don't know how she ended up with the father. The father owned a record store. The mother seems to be some sort of gold digger, maybe. Not a very good one, but she does seem to just want to find a man to take care of her. I guess maybe she must have gotten together with the record store guy thinking like, okay, successful business owner, he'll take care of me. I guess for some reason that didn't work out. I don't really know, how she's making any money or taking care of herself in LV.
Not very well, because we get the one scene of LV waking up, opening the fridge and seeing very, very, very moldy expired food.
Yeah, that's when Ray Say is staying over for the first night and is trying to make LV breakfast to win her over. And he's discovering what a crap hole the place really is. And discovers that, like, all the food is moldy and the only thing he can end up making is a cup of tea. Because it's the only thing in the house that's not expired and moldy and stuff. The thing is that it's very obvious that Mari just wants to find a man with a little bit of money to take care of her. And she thinks Ray will be that guy. And Ray plays upon her desires to try to sign LV. And convinces Mari that, like, oh, I'm in love with you and I'm doing this because I love you and I want good things for your daughter, and she's going to be our meal ticket and we're going together. And when LV doesn't play along, he tells Mari, what, you thought you were the only woman? Like, I've got women everywhere. I don't actually care about you. I just needed you to get your daughter to get on stage so that I could make money off of her, you know?
He doesn't even care about LV.
Oh, no. She's a meal ticket. And the thing is that if Mari was not such a horribly abusive person, you'd almost feel sorry for Mari in this situation. Because what Ray does to her is also horrible. But at that point, it's kind of karma. In the end, Mari doesn't care about Ray, and Ray doesn't care about Mari, and neither of them cares about LV. You know, Mari just wants a meal ticket out of Ray. Ray wants a meal ticket out of LV. It's a bunch of people just kind of in a circle jerk trying to find a way to make it to the easy life while having somebody else do the work. When LV refuses, Ray, like, hits her.
Yeah, he tries to, just get her out of bed, get her in the dress, and we'll just go to the club. No, she doesn't want to get up. She doesn't want to do anything. And he's trying to force her up, grabbing her, trying to pull her out of bed, trying to force this evening dress on her, and she's not going. He strikes her, and she just snaps. It's almost like, oh, this is the person you want from me? You just want me to do my voice impressions of famous singers and famous starlets? Fine, I'm going to give it to you. And she just rapid fires lines from various movies over and over as he's kind of stalking him, approaching him, and he's kind of backing away because it's like, hey, you stop that. We got a thing to do. You stop that right now. And LV, in what probably the first proactive thing she's done in who knows how long, probably her whole life, pushes Ray down the stairs. And it's at that point Ray realizes it's over. This meal ticket of Little Voice is over. Which leads to probably the second best part of this movie, which is Ray's complete mental breakdown. Because he goes back to the club, he hits the stage, he tells the band to play, and they play Roy Orbison's It's Over. And he's singing it, but it's like psychotically singing it with little quips in between. It's like, you're all pieces of garbage. You don't know anything. Like, he is having a complete mental breakdown on stage. And well-deserved, honestly. Again, it's the comeuppance of him treating LV so terribly.
Yeah. Now that Ray has broken things off with Mari and LV has completely refused to perform and everything, Mari loses it on LV and goes in and starts destroying all of her father's records. LV finally loses it. And not in the way she lost it on Ray. Like, she loses it as herself.
Because she has nothing left to lose. The faulty wiring caused a fire that burned their house down, number one. So she lost her dad's record store. And now she's lost the only thing she had of her dad were those old records, as her mother destroyed them. She hated that man. She even says, I don't understand why you love that bum. So when she finally goes to that alley where all of their stuff got thrown out, and sees her father's records, her father's prized possessions, smashed to pieces, and the picture of her father smashed on the ground. Again, Jane Horrocks doing that very silent, painful scream. You can feel it. Like, this is everything her father had. The only thing she had left of her father is now gone.
Yeah.
With the exception of her singing, LV has had this very small, mousy voice to the point where she can't even muster up a scream in agony, and her mom is kind of ridiculing her for it. What's the matter, dear? Cat got your tongue? And LV just grabs her mother and just starts screaming in her face as loud as she can. Do you hear me now, mother?
Yeah, and she unloads it all, like, you drove him to an early grave. You took away everything that was good about him. You took away everything that was good about me,
With your men and your knights and your yelling and your screaming, you drove him to an early grave. But when we listened to those records together, he sparkled. He sparkled more than you ever could.
Yeah. We have the full circle of the faulty wiring in that finally it sparks off and starts a fire and burns down the entire house. And LV gets trapped in her room. But here comes Billy, Ewan McGregor, yay, with his bucket truck, and he's able to get up to her window of her room before the fire department can get there, and he's able to bust through the window and pull her out to safety and save her before the room goes up. That's great. He gets to come in at the end and be the hero.
Going back to screaming at her mother is like, my father never stood up to you because he knew you would never listen to him. I never stood up to you because I could never get a word in.
Yeah. And what's interesting, we haven't mentioned, like, maybe one of the other best characters, which is the mom's best friend.
Yeah.
Who lives next door. And she says, I think, one word the entire movie, which is like, oh, or something like that. The funniest thing is that she is very much like LV in the fact that she's very shy and she doesn't talk. Mari insults her all the time and seems to just keep her around to make herself feel better so that she has someone there to, like, put down in order so that Mari can feel better by comparison.
Yeah, even when all the things go down with trying to get LV to perform, and is that she takes it out on her friend. It's like, you're useless. Get out of here. Don't ever come back. I never want to see you again. You're ruining this for all of us. And, that is like the first one to fall. Is that, it seems that is the character's only existence in the movie is, like you said, for Mari to pick on her so she can make herself feel better. But who does she go to right after Ray dumps her? Back to that same best friend.
Yeah, Sadie. Once LV says the thing about, like, I could never get a word in edgewise, and you're like, well, that explains Sadie, right? Like,
yeah. And LV finally retakes herself in her final words to her mother. My name isn't Little Voice, it's Laura. Almost as if her own mother forgot her name, because she's been calling her Little Voice and LV for so long.
Yeah, it was never a name she gave herself. Her mom was the one that called her that. And never told anybody else her name.
And yeah, she walks away from her mom. She walks away from the broken records into Billy's little shack, his little pigeon coop. And, they have their little moment of, releasing the pigeons in the morning. And it looks like this is going to be a new life for the both of them. A little bit of a happy ending for the movie. On that, going back to what you said earlier, how Ewan McGregor's character of Billy was never in the original stage production. How he was created for the film because the director really liked working with Ewan McGregor. Which, again, I get it. And it's a way to give LV a little bit of a love interest. And to have the movie end on a happy note. Because I assume that the stage play just ends with LV walking away saying, "My name is Laura."
I'm not really sure, but, probably something like that, yeah.
Yeah, probably. And they wanted to have a more happy, positive ending for the movie. The love story between Laura, LV, and Billy is just so tacked on in this movie because Billy is barely in this movie. Like, why is he not at the club the first go around with her? He seems to just show up at random points of the movie to say some words to her. The love story between those two is never really fleshed out. It just pops up randomly. It's not naturally woven into the story at all. And the fact that you said that this character was created for the movie explains so much. No disrespect to Ewan McGregor, legendary actor, great actor. But if you take those scenes out of the movie, it doesn't really change the movie. And that love story between the two of them doesn't really add anything to the movie either.
The thing I'm going to agree with you on is that it had been a while since I had seen this. And in my memory, Billy was at the club to watch her. And I was kind of shocked when I rewatched the movie and I realized he is never at any of her performances. And it makes more sense now that I did the research and realized that his character was added for the film. But why they didn't add him into any of those scenes, like, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't be there for the first one where things don't go so well and she's performing in the dark, because she wasn't advertised. But his boss is like, "Oh, I saw your girl at the club." And then the second time they paper the entire town with posters. So why wouldn't Billy be there? He's obsessed with this girl to the point of, like, hanging around outside her bedroom window. Why wouldn't he be at her performance?
Like, he's literally yelling at her, "LV, don't do it if you don't want to. Don't let them make you do it."
Yeah, why wouldn't he be there for moral support,
Yeah.
So I agree with you. And in fact, I had remembered him being in the movie more than he was.
He gets into the club the third time, but it's happenstance because, again, he says the wrong thing at the wrong time because his boss is there with a woman, and he says, "Oh, this isn't your wife." Wife! Well, yeah. I got an extra ticket now, you dum-dum. Want to go see the show?
Yeah.
So, and again, LV doesn't perform in that third time. So it's like he never sees her perform in the entire movie at all. He hears her the first time at the beginning of the movie because she's singing along with the record, but he never actually sees her perform. Which is like, if you are obsessed with this girl, if you like this girl, if you're smitten with this girl, would you not want to see her perform? But like I said, now that I know that his character was kind of tacked on, it makes sense. But you would think that they would rewrite the script to have him interact more, to be at these big events in the movie, and he's kind of not.
And it wouldn't have taken that much rewriting to just have him in the background. and keep him from being able to talk to her because the mother and Ray interfere.
Hey, lover boy, if you want to talk to LV, you're going to have to buy a ticket like everybody else. No autographs, please, sir. No autographs, something like that,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can have him be there to see her, but not be able to interact with her at the club. And then later, he can show up when they're away canoodling somewhere else and be like, I was at the show and I tried to see you, but they stopped me or whatever,
Your mom and her boyfriend wouldn't let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Something like that, Apparently there is another little voice, and I told Kiki about this when we were trying to find the movie. Apparently Apple did a little voice TV show. Nothing to do with this movie whatsoever, or the original play. None whatsoever. It just happens to be called Little Voice. Whatever. But apparently the writer of the original stage play, The Rise and Fall of Little Voice, is interested in doing some sort of film remake or television series based off the play, but that was like 2024. So who knows? So, after all that, Kiki, does Little Voice have the magic?
I still think it does. I loved it so much during the rewatch. This was first watch for you. What did you end up thinking?
Like I said, the club scenes with LV is my favorite part of the movie because it really shows off. It shows off Jane Horrocks' talent, not only as a singer but as an impressionist, and how she gets the moves and the movements of the performer she's mimicking down perfectly. And since you said that this play was made specifically for her to showcase those talents, of course that scene would be the best part of the movie because she gets to show off her talent. The story, it's like, the mirror image of A Star Is Born almost, kind of. But it's definitely A Star Is Born with a different twist. I'll say that. And I did like that. This person who never wanted to be a star, she just wanted to sing these songs because she loved these songs. They remind her of her father. As she sings them, she feels connected to her father. And I did like that part. I probably would have cut the love story. No offense to you, Mr. Ewan McGregor. No offense to you, sir. But I think this would have been better paced.
Or expand the love story.
Yeah.
One or the other.
One or the other. I agree. I'll go with that. But I did enjoy the movie. I liked it. Thank you for the recommendation, Kiki. Again, if you have not seen this movie, you should watch it. It is very good. Let's move on to next week. We are going to be returning to classic Disney. We are going all the way back to Bambi. This is one of the few of the classic Disney movies that we haven't done yet. And, it's about time we do another classic animated Disney movie. This is probably going to be our write-off of that original pre-World War II era Disney. No offense, but we have tried to do a podcast for Fantasia. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to do in an audio-only format.
So Bambi might be our wrap-up of the pre-World War II era Disney. So come back for Bambi next week, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye. Don't let the magic stop here.
Keep the conversation going. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Rewatching the Magic.
We are also on Blue Sky. rewatchingthemagic.bsky.social. And new episodes are available at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com and youtube.com/@rewatchingthemagic. Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.
We know that right now, things are tough.
But in the words of Jim Henson, the only way the magic works is by hard work. But hard work can be fun.
Check out our show notes for ways that you can help.